Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in again. We are going to talk about some things we're going to expand upon a little bit of what we did last week. If you joined us last week or listened to our recording from last week, we talked a little bit about ways to kickstart kind of getting fit or losing weight when you feel like you're a little bit stagnated. And we're going to kind of hone in on one of those topics today. So, just brief introductions before we get started. I am Gina Rudabush, and I'm a health coach. I work with people to try to figure out how to help them lead healthier lives. And so I spend some time just talking with folks, talking about what to do differently. We do small habit changes and really kind of figure out how to gradually create a healthier lifestyle. And with me is Shannon Cheney Whitson, and I'm going to let her do a brief introduction as well.
Hi, I'm Shannon, and I'm a personal trainer and coach. I've done 5 Ironman now, and I work with everybody from brand new beginners all the way up to elite. And like Gina said, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to incorporate exercise into your everyday without making it take over your day.
Yes. I feel like we should come up with a name for our little show here. Maybe we'll think about that for next time, like the Shannon Gina show, or we'll have to come up with something clever.
Yeah. Gina Shannon show, Shannon Gina show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shh in there.
Yes, there is. Okay, we'll work on that for the next one. But in the meantime, yes, what we wanted to talk about a little bit more tonight was, I think a lot of us have this notion that in order to really see results when you're, exercising, that we have to take an hour out of the day, that we have to go to the gym, we have to do some complicated workout to really get results. And it's just not the case. And so one of the things that I heard recently is an acronym called NEAT, N-E-A-T, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's a mouthful, but basically there's a lot of information out there that shows that just the daily movements that we make throughout the day make a big difference in the number of calories we burn and in our fitness levels. So you've probably heard the phrase before that sitting is the new smoking, right? So the idea is that many of us sit in offices, we sit at a desk all day in front of a computer, and so we're not actually out there, moving much, standing much, really just doing the simple things that people used to do all the time in a lot of the jobs that used to be out there. So the fact that we're sitting all day long is part of what is contributing to a lot of the problems, health problems that we have, a lot of the chronic disease that's out there. And so trying to just add some movement into our days doesn't have to be going to the gym. It can be just spending 5 minutes once an hour standing or walking or doing something like that. And some interesting statistics that I saw when I was looking into this idea of NEAT. There is as big a difference. There can be as big a difference between those who sit and those who actually move throughout the day of 2,000 calories burned. So in other words, someone who's idle and sits all day versus someone who's just kind of up and moving all day, not working out necessarily, but up and moving all day, can burn 2,000 calories more than someone who's sitting. Isn't that crazy? It's a huge amount. Yeah. So it makes a big difference. And the other thing that I saw when I was looking at this, so people who are obese or overweight, it's the studies show that on average they're sitting for about 2.5 hours longer per day than people who are lean. So again, they're not necessarily going to the gym. They might be, but that's not the big factor, that it's really just how much you're actually just getting up and moving throughout the day. So kind of an interesting thing to think about when you think about what you can do to get healthier, lose a little weight, and just really become a more healthy version of yourself. So with that, Shannon, we're going to talk a little bit about ideas for how do you just incorporate more of that into your day. And so you have some ideas too, I know, about, what are the things that you can do on a daily basis that maybe morning, afternoon, evening, or just, incorporating throughout your day that you can do to kind of help make that an easier part of what you're doing.
Yeah, so some things, like we said, was like a lot of people think you have to go to the gym, do all these complicated things, but really it can start at the very beginning of your day. As soon as like you wake up, you can just stretch a little bit before you get out of bed. And I'm not taking like a full yoga class. I mean, just simply stretching from head to toe, like reaching your hands up as high as you can, stretching out the whole length of your body, just rolling your spine side to side, like your hips and everything. That just helps get things moving, and you'll feel a little bit better instead of like hitting snooze for the fifth time, seventh time, and then kind of rolling out of bed and like groggily going through your routine. But just those little things right there could start you on the right foot. But then like once you get to work, there's a lot of sitting, and I know a lot of people get very, very focused on their task at hand. And so the idea of setting an alarm every hour kind of sounds like it would interrupt you. And sometimes it would, which is sort of the point. But I know sometimes just sitting there and you're like, I have this very detail oriented thing I have to focus on. So I'm going to focus on it. But then you realize you've sat there for 4 hours and you haven't moved. And so just like the idea of standing up and sitting down even 10 times at your desk will just get your heart pumping a little bit better and get your blood flowing a little bit better, get oxygen moving. It'll help refocus you, maybe get rid of some of that brain fog and fatigue. You've been stuck on this problem for a while. Marching in place at your desk. And then say you're going on like lunch. You can do a little mini series of like just a few squats, like nothing to break a sweat, nothing that you might even take a jacket off, but just a few squats, maybe just like some incline push-ups sort of on your desk, or just walk around your office once or twice. That'll help just move, regenerate you, help you think about, oh, maybe I'm stiff after sitting for so long, or my back hurts, my legs hurt, my hips hurt, something, and realize you've been sitting like this for hours instead of and then just balance your day a little more. Some days you're going to need to be focused and you won't be able to move as much. But if that's one day of a 5-day work week and the other 4 you actually get up and move, that'll help you a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that when I used to work in an office all day, I mean, you have such a tendency to get caught up in tasks that you could look down at the clock and it's been 3 hours since you've gotten up and moved because you've got so much going on. And so sometimes we think, oh, I don't need to set an alarm, or I don't need to send a reminder to myself to get up and move. But you really do have a tendency to just get caught up in things otherwise. And so it's easy to just put a reminder on your calendar, recurring every hour, to get up for 2 or 3 minutes and walk the floor. I used to work in a building that had 4 flights of stairs, and so sometimes I would just get up and I would walk to one end of the hall. I'd go down a set of stairs, come across the other way, come back up, and just something to get the blood flowing again. Like you said, it really helps to kind of clear your head and make you feel like you've got some oxygen flowing again, and that it doesn't seem like you get so stiff when you sit there for so long too. So I think it just helps just to incorporate more of that into your day and make it something that's very intentional.
Yeah, and a lot of people get really tired like after lunch. Like a lot of times they'll eat something that's heavy, and so you sit there and your body's focused on digesting and you're not really focusing on the task at hand. But if you just get up and walk a little bit, it kind of recenters you and refocuses you a little, because it just helps your brain get more oxygen because your blood's pumping better.
Yes.
Instead of just sitting there and it's almost like you just feel yourself sinking. But
yes, the post-lunch zombie is real. That's something that, especially if you have something not so interesting to work on and sitting there staring at your computer, it definitely helps to get up. And one of the other things I used to do a lot, so I worked in Cubeland, so there were, we were all in cubes next to each other. But I would get up, I had, a lot of conference calls throughout the day. And so I had a headset that I would wear for my conference calls. So it was kind of hands-free, but I would get up and just pace back and forth while I was on a conference call. Mm-hmm. So just in my cube, I would just kind of take 3 steps one way, 3 steps the other way. And it was just nice to stand up and sometimes just lean on my chair and stretch or do something like that just felt like, again, that I was loosening up a little bit and kind of getting moving while I was sitting there in the office.
Yeah. And I mean, I've never worked in a cubicle. I don't think I could. I think that would drive me absolutely batty. But when I've talked to people that have and stuff, they're always worried about disrupting their neighbors. But like sometimes their neighbors are like eating chips or like typing really hard and aggressively on their keyboards. And they're kind of disruptive, but you're afraid that your air squats that won't really make any noise make you weird. They might make you look like a little gopher popping up and down over your cube. But nobody. But yeah, no, Cubeland is definitely a weird place because nobody's watching, but everybody's watching at the same time. Yeah. But you can kind of take your work. It sounds like with those conference calls that you're going to be on your phone, you can kind of take it to go. And unless you have to reference something all the time, it sounds like you can move. Or like go into a conference room and maybe pace around the table that's got like one of those big phones in the table as opposed to staying in your spot.
That's right. Yeah, we had a courtyard, and if it was nice out, you could actually, put it on your cell phone and go kind of pace through the courtyard. Was another thing that you could do. Or we had people that would kind of walk back up and down the halls, just on their phones, just trying to get out of their cube. And you know what, when you're in cube land, you tend to just learn how to block out the other noise. So I wouldn't worry so much about disturbing other people. We had some loud people, but you learn to block it out. And it's also a great way to get other people to jump on board with some of the stuff that you're doing. So some of my old coworkers instituted something that I think it was 11 o'clock every day. I think it was 11 o'clock. They had a plank challenge. So no matter what you were doing at 11 a.m., everybody would drop and do a plank in their cubes. And I love that idea. So get everybody else on board, and then you don't feel so silly doing it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you've got other people joining and you're crazy, then it's the normal now.
That's right.
And you're the weird one, then suddenly there's everybody doing it. Well, then the one not doing it's the weird one.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it.
It's not normal. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many things that I think you can do in an office environment to just get up. It doesn't have to make you break out in a sweat. It just is something to, keep you moving, keep you loose, and keep you feeling a little bit more energized throughout the day. Get up and fill your water bottle, right? That's the other thing is, have an excuse to get up and go fill your water bottle. And that way you're getting your hydration throughout the day too.
Right. Right. And maybe make new friends. I don't know.
That's right. Water cooler talk.
Yeah, but then like after that, when you get home, like say you didn't get a chance to do that, now you're stuck hanging out doing whatever you did, or you realize you have done a very good job focusing at work, and now you're going to go home and sit, but you've got 10 minutes. You can still do a small little workout. You can do it during the commercials or during the actual show, depending on which one you want to do, because I feel like there's more commercials than show. But yeah, like marching in place, body weight squats, glute bridges, push-ups, crunches. You could even make it a little bit more interesting and do jump squats, jumping lunges, reverse lunges. Put your heels up on the couch instead of your butt, and actually use your couch as a tool instead of a place to sit.
I like that.
This is a fun thing to use your couch for. I mean, there's planks, flutter kicks, stationary lunges. And if you do each of those, like say you pick 5 exercises and you do them for 30 seconds each, and then you've done them twice, that's 5 minutes of a workout. You've moved, you helped your heart, you helped move some oxygen in your life, and you feel a little bit better about yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so many times when we think we just don't have time to take the break and do it, but there's some point in the day, whether it's maybe you're prepping dinner in the kitchen, sometimes you're waiting on something to finish cooking. Why not just do some leg lifts or, do some squats while you're sitting there at the oven or the stove waiting for something to finish? It sounds silly, but I think once you get in the routine, brushing your teeth is the other thing that I've told people before. You're supposed to spend 2 minutes brushing your teeth. You could spend that 2 minutes, squatting or doing something else that doesn't require your hands. So that's another way to just kind of sneak in a little bit more movement.
Yeah, I mean, even just marching in place while you're brushing your teeth. I mean, practice a little coordination so you don't miss your mouth. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah.
Like do something, wander around. Yeah, fun things like that. And it's funny how much better you'll feel. Like some people are like, oh, I need to wind down. I don't want to move. I just want to chill before I go to bed. It wakes me up too much. But it might not wake you up, but it might clear your head a little more. But for me, that helps me relax more. If I've sat all day, I just feel kind of blah, and then I feel almost like I'm getting sick. And so then I just feel like if I go to bed, then my body is not really ready to go to sleep. My mind's not really ready to go to sleep. But once I go do something, then I'm like, okay, now I can rest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's another, if you have had a particularly tough day and it's the end of the night and you just want to relax, maybe that's a good time to try stretching. So, you could do the stretching in the morning, but then also in the evening. Sometimes I'll just sit in the living room and I'll do some of my yoga poses. So I'll do some downward dogs because it feels really good when you've been sitting a lot throughout the day.
Yeah.
And just do some stretching to get loose again. And that does, I think, help me feel more relaxed to, be able to go to bed and fall asleep more quickly.
Yeah. Ooh, I have a new favorite yoga pose. It's a child pose where you're rotated, where you like you lay down, your head's down, your arms are out, but then you take one arm and put it under your arm and stretch out your back sideways. That
Yes.
feels great, especially after you've been sitting like this for hours.
Yes. I have been known to, you have to ask my husband, but I have been known every so often during a commercial to get up and practice my headstand as well during that commercial. So it's something I used to be able to do it as a kid all the time because we had dance classes and we would do headstands in dance class. And when I started taking yoga, I realized I could still do a headstand and it was so exciting that I could still do it. So now every so often I'll do it just, when I'm sitting there in front of the TV just to make sure I still can. It's kind of fun.
Right. Well, it's
Yeah.
funny, like as kids, we thought nothing of just like getting on the floor and rolling around and doing whatever we're going to do, like somersaults, headstands, handstands, walk on our hands. And then for some reason, as adults, we're like, that's childish. We shouldn't do that anymore. But it's so much fun. Like, why
It
can't we
is.
just have fun? Nobody's saying
We
you're-
should be more like, yes, we should be more like when we were kids. That's
Yeah,
part of the fun of it, right?
it is. I mean, that's why kids squat better than us. They wander around and they can just sit down, stand up. It's all fine. They do sit in desks way longer than they probably should. But then they're allowed to go move.
Yes.
Movement is good. Encourage that from everyone, from babies till 99.
I like it. I am jealous of kids that can just like, how they do that kind of sit squat where their butt is almost touching the ground, but they're not, and they just look totally comfortable that way. And I was like, I just don't think my knees can handle that anymore. I wish they could.
Just need worked back into it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, my mom was really good at encouraging my sister and I to move a lot. And her big thing was she's always been a nurse in a nursing home. And so, like, she has seen older people. And she always loves to point out how much movement is very much use it or lose it. And so she would take care of residents that were 65, 75, 85, 95 years old. And they seemed to be on one of two spectrums. Like, you had those that were the traditional, like, little old lady that had trouble standing up and sitting down, needed help everywhere. And then you had the other ones that would like chase the nurses down the hall because they just moved their entire lives. Like, she had some 90-year-olds that moved better than the 55-year-olds. And so it was just, and she would talk to them because she had nothing else to do. Like, that was part of her job, was to interact with them, take care of them, make sure all their needs were met, give them medications. And they'd be like, sweetie, you just have to keep moving. Just have to keep moving. You can't sit still. You can't just sit around all day. I got to get up and move. And so they'll just get up and walk laps up and down the hall. And that's just what they've always done. And she said you could tell they ate better. They weren't sick as often. They just seemed to have a better quality of life, even in a nursing home where like there's not a lot else to do. Like, I don't
I
know,
love it.
Nasta, bingo. But, and so, yeah, but she was just always like, you gotta be like this little old lady. So you see them that they would maybe work out or not necessarily work out if they're in their 80s. But like they had physical lives. Like, they would take care of things. They would probably had farms, but
Yeah.
just move constantly. And it stuck with them because they never let it go away. They never
Yeah.
went to zero. They just kept going. And so now
I
we
love it.
have ourselves to do that.
Yeah, it's like the article that I came across on Facebook the other day about the lady who's 102 and started running because I think it was at age 98 or something. They said she used to be a mountain biker,
Yeah.
and at the age of 98, she decided that maybe mountain biking was a little too dangerous, and so she switched to running. I was like, God love you. You're my hero. So
And
I'm,
things like they're always doing stuff like that.
yeah,
The
I'm
101-year-old that breaks the world record. And she's like, oh, I felt like running. Oh,
right.
all right.
Yeah. That's the goal to strive for, right? And
Right.
all you have to do is just, you don't have to work out like a maniac. You just have to get up and be active throughout the day.
No, I mean, like, we don't have to all try to aim to break the 2-hour marathon record, which was really cool that was broken.
That was cool.
Yes, and so that was really cool. But I mean, that's not what we all have to strive for. Just being able to get up and move. That way we can get up and move when we're older. I want to be able to get off my own couch. I want to be able to get out of my own bed. I don't want to have somebody install handrails or help me up or whatever when I'm old. I want to just keep moving and be healthy.
Yes. Amen to that. I like it. All right. So I think hopefully we've given some good tips for just how to incorporate it throughout your day and how to just be more active throughout the day without necessarily having to do a workout. Don't get me wrong, workouts are still great or great things to incorporate, but just being active, standing, moving is a great way to just get things going as well. So I hope that was helpful. So Shannon and I are going to kind of keep doing some of these short topics to hopefully give you some more ideas about how to incorporate health in your life. And the next one that we're thinking about talking about is more on the nutrition side of things. So we'll talk a little bit more about things like food prep. And so if that's something that you struggle with today, figuring out how to cook healthy meals, we know that cooking at home is something that really is a huge contributor to a healthier lifestyle versus eating out. And so next time, look for us to talk a little bit more about meal prep, and we'll dive into some strategies to make that a little bit easier. Anything
Yeah.
else, Shannon, that you would add?
We just a quick reminder, I guess, is there's this cool little part where we can add notes. And so we were going to put in, I wrote out a little tiny mini like desk workout. And so we're going to add that to the notes. And then I know last time we talked about like the right way to do squats or the right way to do lunges. I was going to make like a little mini demo video just to do squats, lunges, and then that morning stretch I was talking about, like reaching and just a quick little, I guess you could call it a flow. Things that way you can see it, because a lot of times like we can verbalize it and we can say this is what you should do, and you're like, oh yeah, I should, but then when you see it you're like, that's what you meant, and it really wasn't that hard. It took 30 seconds. Sounds great. I'll do that.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so keep an eye out for those things in the notes and incorporated with the video, and we'll be back at you here soon. Keep an eye on social media. That's usually how we will let everyone know what we're going to be doing and when. We'll put these recordings out there, but you can always join us live as well, so we'll keep you posted on that. You can find us both on Facebook and also Instagram, I believe, as well. Shannon, you're on Instagram too, so take a look for us there. And we'll be coming back at you soon with more.
Sounds great.
Yes, until next time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.